as you can see, we've moved. If you have been thinking about moving yourself, if you feel like the kids are in your way all the time, your partner's in your face, you can't get enough peace and quiet, and you're thinking, I think it's the house, I think we need a bigger space, or I think we need to be in a different space, you're probably right. And that's what this video is about, following your gut. And I just want to tell you from my perspective of someone who has just recently moved, yes, it is the house. And it will help you if you move. Now, don't go move and spend all this money just because you saw this video, but I just want to tell you my story. So I had some of the problems that many of you probably have, some problems that my friends and family also have, which is finding the right home, especially in this economy. That's the right thing, because I feel like there are a lot of homes that could work, but in this economy, not really. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I'm just going to tell you what has changed for me. We have been living in apartments for about the past 5 to 6 years. In California, that was okay. Mostly okay, because my girls could go outside a lot. We had a beautiful pool at our apartment, and so I could go up there and work while they swam. We had tons of parks. We lived in Southern California in Irvine, and so there were a lot of parks that we could go to, and I could still get some work done, but it was still difficult. When we moved back to Maryland a couple years ago, that's when things really got rough, because we had some problems with the condo that we were in. First of all, this is a condo owned by my dad, so I'm really appreciative. The rent was super low, not really much lower than market rent, but it was still half of what I am paying now, more than half than what I am paying now. But the girls couldn't go outside because it was in the area where some people are kind of sketchy. And also it was a condo for maybe like bachelors. It seems like a bachelor pad. There were not a lot of kids living around there, and it was very asphalty. So there weren't trees and grass and things like that for them to run. So they had to stay inside a lot. Besides the fact that when I did send them out 1 or 2 times, there were some questionable characters around, so they just mostly stayed inside. That affected them in a lot of ways. One of my daughters, of course, was so sad. They were both so sad to leave California. Anyone will be sad to leave California, the beautiful beaches and the weather. But I had promised them, okay, but when we get back to Maryland, we're going to have a lot more space. So they thought we were moving into something like this a couple years ago, but it just didn't end up that way for a number of reasons. When I got back here, I kind of got sticker shock, because I was like, wait, thought I was going to be able to save money here. I don't know what I was thinking. It's Maryland. It's expensive. We're going to eventually probably have to move out of this state if things keep going like it's going. One of my daughters particularly took it hard, because we moved to California and I realized she was like 3. So in those 3-ish years, maybe she was 4, but in those 3-4 years that we were in California, she had grown up there and she didn't have any memories from Maryland. So it was a big deal to her. And then moving into a place that was kind of depressing because it didn't get a lot of natural sunlight. You had to be inside every day. You're going from a lifestyle of being free and being at the beach and being at parks to being mostly inside, and a climate that is cold many parts of the year. That did not help her. So she felt really sad often, and too often than I would like, she'd just be crying and depressed. I want to go back to California. I don't like it here. My other daughter, she did have some memories from Maryland, and I think she's just more of she might not express those feelings completely, even if she felt that way. But for her, I think a big change was she became more sedentary. Both of them became more sedentary. And of course, that's not good for your lifestyle. So it just became more of an unhealthy lifestyle. And I kept having to do things to make up for that. Because we lived in that type of area, I wasn't just going to say, oh, well, too bad, you guys can never play outside. So I would have to drive them to parks, drive them to playgrounds. And that's a lot. And it takes up a lot of my day. And of course, if we're playing at the playground, I can't get any work done, right? And they're homeschooled on top of that. So I can't get work done, but I know that you need this. Whereas now that we're here, they can play outside all day long. They are outside for like 4 to 5 hours at least, minimum a day, and I'm just inside getting work done. So yes, bigger yard, bigger space will allow you, especially if you work from home, to get some work done to build your business. It is helping me a lot. You guys see I'm coming out with video after video after video now, okay? That's the other part, is I did not have a room just set up where I could film, and I just knew inside me, I knew that I needed a room to film with the lighting and everything already set up. So you have seen my videos lately, they've been in the same spot because The lighting, the sound is already set up there. I just decided to come outside today because I can. I know that sometimes people say, oh, there's a workaround. You can do this, you can do that. And that is true. Yes, I could have gone live more. I could have filmed outside where it was sunny all the time. But the reality is that I just didn't for many years. And I just knew if I had a permanent office type setup, I would be able to knock out more videos and generate more income. So if you're thinking the same thing, I'm not saying to let that hold you back, because obviously I came out with videos. You all have seen videos for the past few years. I did switch to an Instagram strategy, so I've been on Instagram way more these past couple of years. So there are workarounds. You can still do whatever you want to do in your business, but it is a lot easier when you are in the right place. So I thank God for that. The other thing is that now the kids, even if the weather is bad, they can be inside playing because we have a lot more square footage and I don't hear them. I don't see them. It's great. So they can play without disturbing my work or without me having to be like, girls, shh, I'm teaching a class right now. Another thing, because I have that set up, I can teach classes all the time. It's very easy for me just, sit down and teach my class. So again, to prove my point, you can increase your income. If you're thinking, I know I can improve my income if we just had this, that, and the third. And if you know that in your soul, it just might be true. Our dog also was more depressed when we came back here because he was used to growing up in Southern California, in Orange County, where dogs are welcome everywhere, like every store, every restaurant, everything. We're outside, we're getting bagels, we're going on long walks. I would walk him minimum 20 miles a week, minimum, okay? And often on the weekends, we would do longer hikes. And so when we came back here, he unfortunately developed some habits and became a little bit destructive. So he now looks for food. So if there's food out on the counter and we leave the house, he's taking it. Okay. He never used to do that. But I think that period of time of just boredom and not being able to go with us, that's what that caused. Now, though, the good thing is, like, he's right out here sitting out in the sunlight with me. Of course, sunlight is good for people. It's good for dogs, too. He's watching the squirrels go by. He's barking. So he's a lot less interested in the trash now. It's still a habit that he picked up, and we're going to have to work on it. So we're going to do that. But if you have pets, that's another thing to consider. The girls have a larger room, which, okay, my girls don't argue a lot, but I know some people have a lot of problems with sibling rivalry and children arguing. Get that space so that they can spread out and leave each other alone, so that your son can be upstairs while your daughter is downstairs, and they can come together and play because they're not forced to be right up on each other. The other thing is the cleanliness. Cleaning is so much easier. I'm not someone who loves to clean. I love things to be clean, but I don't like to clean all the time. I am more of an organizer than someone who wants to be cleaning all the time. And so I've gotten so many tips. I look on YouTube. I look at, maybe minimalism, maybe organizing like this, have this routine, get up at this time in the morning and clean right up after yourself. And those are all things that are great tips. And I'm sure they work, but just deep down inside, I knew, first of all, I did not have that much stuff. So I'm already kind of minimalist by nature, because just growing up, I feel like we didn't have a ton of extra stuff like people do now. And I just don't have, I feel like, a ton of extra stuff compared to other people. I may own 3 pairs of shoes and a bunch of the same dresses and pants that I wear year to year. I might have one large pot, one medium pot, one maybe one small pot, or maybe just one large pot. So I knew deep inside, I don't think this is the problem. I feel like I could solve my problem if I just had a bigger space, because I know I'm not going to go out and buy a bunch of new stuff. And so if I just had the space to keep this stuff, I would be good. And it's true. It is just been so easy to clean. I've rarely been cleaning, maybe more than 20 minutes a week, but I just haven't had to clean that much because, one, the kids now have their own space that they use, a basement space, which that's complicated, but so they have recently been able to put in their whole little gymnastics studio in the basement space. So all that stuff stays down there, and I don't even need to go down there to see it. So if it's a mess in the playroom, is a mess that doesn't even bother me because I don't need to go down there and see it. It's not, by the way, because they don't have too much stuff, so it doesn't get too cluttered. Also, their toys, I have space now in the garage and in a basement area to store the toys that are not for this season. So they're not able to say, oh, I want to play with that today, and grab it down easily and play with it. It's out of sight, out of mind. Same thing with all their extra clothes for the other seasons. They are in storage, and so they can't reach in and decide they want to do a fashion show today. They have to use whatever is out in their room. And it just looks neater because there's more space. So imagine you had like a small living room with a bunch of stuff and maybe it looked kind of messy, and then your living room quadrupled in size, and so everything is spread out. It just doesn't look as messy. It's the same amount of stuff, doesn't look as messy. So it just is mentally nice to come downstairs and just see a few things, or go upstairs to my office and it's literally just the stuff that I need in the office, the lights, the camera, and the table set up. So that has been really helpful. So another thing is the physical area. I knew what area I wanted to move in for several years. So luckily we got very lucky with that, but I'm able to take walks in this area where I couldn't before. So just kind of like our apartment in California, very walkable. This area isn't walkable because it's a suburb. However, there are sidewalks, so I can walk out the door again and start on my 5-mile walks, which I have not been doing consistently yet, but it's here. It's not the best because we're kind of in a cul-de-sac. It's kind of weird, but still more walkable than before. So I've just been outside more, getting more sunlight, which of course is important to get vitamin D. I had a vitamin D deficiency, probably from being inside so much. So another thing it can help is your health, not just your mental health, but your physical health. I have a chair here. I'm planning on making this deck some sort of space where I can come out even in the winter. Look at this sun. Bam. Oh, hope my arms aren't ashy, but getting this vitamin D in here, right? And being able to just smell the outdoors. I can hear the train from here. There are birds that come and wake me up in the morning. It's so much better for your mental health. So if you feel like you're stuck in a house and it's just draining you, yes, I am here to confirm that part of that could likely be the environment that you're in. And let me look at the rest of my list. Oh, the cousins can come over, which I think is great for the family in general. So because we now have this house, I can host more. So the girls are able to see their friends and their cousins way more often. So for my daughter, who was particularly upset with, moving from California, well, now that we're in this space, it's no problem for her cousins to fly over and maybe stay a week because we have that space and they're going to be able to run around and play. And when their cousins have come so far, we've done one sleepover, we're about to have another one. It's so easy for me to say yes because I can say they can play outside, they can play in the basement, they can play out here on this deck. And so it's better for them to be able to see their cousins more. And also it helps out my brother, sister, sister-in-law, all those people. So it's better for the family. Great to have family events. So there are some negatives, and so I don't want to end this video without talking about the negatives and make it seem like everything is a dream come true, because I think there are definitely things that you need to consider. Our yard back here is not as big as I thought. The photos on the listing showed the yard, but it didn't show like the property line. And unfortunately, back here, this is the yard, right? Like it's just a backyard. Unfortunately, part of this backyard is like a throughway that the HOA owns, and so it's a path that people walk. So we will get people walking their dogs, kids walking back from school, not just kids, but teenagers walking back. And these teenagers look like grown people. So I'm like, oh my gosh, who is that grown man in my backyard? It keeps shocking me. And unfortunately, because it has been here for so long, and I think this has been a rental for a while, people just walk right through the yard, like through the actual yard. So there's the path, but they veer off the path because it's not like it's marked. It just looks like someone's backyard. So they will come and be like right up underneath this deck, just walking through to get to where they want to go. And that's obviously a problem for safety. It's also annoying because Sometimes the kids drop their trash. Sometimes the grown adults are walking their dogs, let their dogs go in the bathroom there and don't pick it up. And even though that's technically not our property, there's dog poop, right? So I obviously have to pick it up because my kids want to run and play back there. The other thing is I had plans on having like a little tree house, a little play set, because that part of the yard is the flattest part of the yard where people apparently now I know have worn it by walking through. I can't put a play set there because that's public property. So that's unfortunate. The neighbors are fine. I love the neighbors. They're very kind on all sides. But I can imagine if you are in a place that is doing okay for you now, you're good now, and you move into a place and then the neighbors are, a mess, that wouldn't be very helpful, right? That could bring you more stress. So that's just something to consider. And I would definitely talk to the neighbors and talk to whomever is moving out, whether you're renting or buying, and checking out, are these neighbors nice people? Have you had problems with them? Because that could be a problem. Also, if you want your kids outside a lot like I do, I can't imagine if my neighbors were like yelling if my kids were being loud or something like that. I also can have Teddy off leash around here. He's a pretty good dog, so he doesn't go anywhere. And the neighbors don't complain. This neighbor here loves dogs. She has a bunch of cats, so she'll pet Teddy. Like, that is good. But just keep that in mind when you are looking for a place. Make sure you get a property. If one of your things is letting your kids be able to play outside, make sure you get a property where your kids can actually play outside without, bothering anyone. Maybe it's a neighborhood with a lot of kids. That would be a good idea. This particular area where we are in does not have a lot of kids my kids' age. Even though the middle schoolers and high schoolers walk back and forth here, those aren't the kids who they want to play with. So that's unfortunate, but they still get to play outside a lot. And then the final thing is we are renting, so unfortunately the landlord is not great. I'm going to leave it at that for now, but that's something to think about if you are renting from a good landlord now. And I've always had positive experiences with my landlord, so I guess I just didn't think about that aspect this time. But when you are doing this, and if I ever find myself renting again, I don't plan on it, but if I ever find myself renting again, I am definitely asking for references from the previous couple tenants to see what type of person this person is. And I feel like I kind of I normally can tell by the condition of the property. If you go in and the property isn't in like perfect condition, I generally avoid those type of places. But I didn't see this place before I rented it. My dad came, he checked it out, he said it was fine. I think there was some miscommunication because he apparently told me like some things that were not in good condition, and I guess I didn't hear it or recognize it, and I was kind of in a rush, to be honest with you. I just saw the yard in the basement and I was like, great. And the area is perfect for us where we are on the highway. So I kind of I rented it, leased it sight unseen in a sort of way. So it is what it is. A bad landlord can make things very difficult for you, especially if they ignore repairs. And so that has been my number one problem here. We weren't able to use the basement for about the past month. And the yard, unfortunately, has some areas where it's like super muddy. So I'm thinking, oh, the kids have a half acre to play. And oh, wait, that whole side of the yard is muddy. And if they run and play over there, they're going to slip. So that's a problem. Luckily, it's just a rental. But if you are going to buy, just make sure you're being so meticulous. Even if you're renting, just be really, really meticulous. There are also things wrong with this house that I didn't even think of. Like, I would not have even thought that someone would build a house and there would be no exhaust fans in the bathroom. A modern house, it's not like this house was built in the 19th century or something, or 1950 even. This is a modern built house. And the two bathrooms that have showers don't have exhaust. And so that creates a lot of moisture, which leads to mold. So anyway, yeah, the final thoughts, I am glad that we moved. It was the right decision for us, and it might be the right decision for you. So more to come. I will do a house tour in a little bit once we have the house a little bit more set up. Bye-bye.